Hey YouTube, we're back in Homebrew V14 Vehicle Simulator, and today I'm going to show you how to build a plane, as you saw by the title. So to start your plane, we're just going to start with a really rough body. So just go ahead and get some adjustable pipes, attach them on here. I usually like putting a few because I like attaching my seat to some of them. I'm going to put one over here, and two out for my wings. Alright. So I usually like to start with just putting a seat on. So we're going to go grab a seat. Simple bucket seat. Oh. Okay, and I like attaching it right there to this face. That way I can just move my bucket seat around wherever I want to. So we're going to move it over here and down a little bit. I'm going to adjust it a little bit more, but I'm just going to leave it there so I can cleanly build around here. So I'm going to use just one LP rocket engine, or just rocket engine. Now I'm going to want that to be variably adjusted. So I'm going to grab that face and attach it right there. Now remember to hold shift when placing, that way you keep the item on the ground but you can place multiple at once. See, I can keep doing this. And that's just by holding shift. So I'm going to drop those. Spin this sucker around and attach my engine right there. So on the top face, middle, right there. And the orange side is the side that's going to be you want to the back of your plane. So there we go. So the fire is going to come out here and we're going to be pushed this way. Alright, so with that, I'm going to want to adjust it. I want it about in the center of my plane, because this does have a pretty heavy influence on center of mass. We want to keep that number in mind, or this blue dot in mind. So now I'm going to move my seat down a little bit. Well, yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to want to put my wings on. I'm not going to use the Cessna wings just because they're a little bit glitchy for me. I haven't quite figured them out all the way. So I'm going to be using the X15 wings. So the X15 wings are kind of big, but don't let that scare you. Gonna go ahead and take it right there by the middle. Attach one here, hold shift, and attach another one here. There's a weird glitch for me that the center of lift always spawns on the wing and stays right there instead of evening out in the middle, but that's okay. It'll rearrange itself. So now one thing you want to keep in mind is this yellow dot, that blue dot, and soon that another red dot. They all mean something different. Blue is center of mass, red is center of thrust, and yellow is center of lift. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn in a fuel tank. There we go. I'll put one here and one here. Even though just one fuel tank's enough, I don't tend to adjust them. I'm going to want to bring my wings in more. And this guy in more. Right there, I think that's symmetric, yep. Alright, so now we're going to want to put our tail on. And for our tail, I do use the Cessna wings. The Cessna Skyhawk tail wing. I use 3 of them. I don't like using the vertical ones because then you got to get into the whole modify box. So I just take that, attach it there, and one on the top for yaw. Okay. Hold Alt to go into transparent mode so you can see all the joints easier. And now we got a nice little small plane. I'm going to space it out a little bit more. I want my tail to be a little bit longer. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So now we're going to, I don't think we need to add anything else other than a ballast, but we need to test where our center of thrust is. So I'm going to go into the tuner. Just going to pull everything out. So these are going to be the tail flaps, that's vertical. These are the 2 horizontal ones. Pull our fuel tanks up here. Our wings over here. And our one rocket engine there. Steering wheel can go over there. and our bucket seat, the thing we're going to be putting everything on. So we're going to connect the fuel outputs to the input, just like that. Let's go ahead and connect up our throttle, which I'm going to have as left shift. Go ahead and take that and attach it there. So now if we take control, we press shift, we get a center of thrust. Okay, so now we want to hook up our wings. And my wings I'm going to use for lift, because I'm not going to get into the modify box, that'll be in a different tutorial. So this is going to be the pitch of the plane. Oop. And I want that to be on a button axis. There we go. W and S. Go ahead and connect that to the two wings. And now we want our roll option. So our roll I have as D and A. And those will be connected to our two horizontal flaps. So you can see there's the first one and there's the right one. And our yaw will be our yaw will be the arrow keys, left and right, and those will be connected right there. And we can have our yaw connected to our steering wheel, it doesn't matter. So now that we have that, I'm gonna exit out of the builder so I can reset that value. But as you can see, we got a center of thrust. Right there is the red if I hold shift. And we have our mass and our lift, which will be over here more. But that's okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and exit the builder so it resets everything a little bit. Specifically that yellow value. We want that dot to be over there in the middle. We want it to update that there is a wing on the other side. Now I'm gonna head right into the build phase. Open last project, and there we go. So now it doubled the value and we have it right there. So now if we hold shift, we can see all these dots are in close proximity, but I want this blue one in particular to be right next to that guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ballast. A ballast is used for adjusting your plane's weight. I'm going to take that ballast and I'm going to attach it all the way back here. Right there. So as you can see, a ballast automatically adjusts to 1,000 kilograms, and that's not what I want. I want this blue dot to be right there, or at least right on top or somewhere around there. So I'm going to do 100 kilograms. That's still too much. I'm going to do 50. 100 is the max I can go. That's not to worry though. This is an easy thing to adjust. So now I'm just going to get a adjustable pole out, or adjustable pipe. Go ahead and attach that right where I had the ballast, right there. I'm going to attach the ballast to that. The ballast has a minimum of 100 kilograms, and even with 100, it was still way over here. Because 100 kilograms is a third of this thing's weight at the moment. So I'm going to move this guy on over. Alright, so it can go there, but however, I want to do something else. I want to add wheels, because that's going to change the weight a little bit. So just going to get a simple wheel hub. That's going to get these right here. What did I touch? The top part. Okay. So I'm just going to attach it like that. And have one more down here. 4 wheels. It's not going to look like an actual plane, but it's just going to have 4 wheels. Take that, attach it there. 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 And finally there. So as you can see, that added a lot of weight. From I think 300 kilograms to 680. So that added a ton of weight. That's why we want to add the wheels and then do our fine tuning. Drag this guy up here. And this guy up here too. Now remember to pop into your tuner so that you can spawn the wheels. And a nice little trick is go to a wheel hub, double click them all, double click it, and that'll click on and highlight all the wheels present. And then you can just change them all at once. So I want a thin wheel with a wheel scale of 0.5, and a wheel width of 0.5. There we go. So now I just have some tiny wheels. And that also lowered the weight a little. No, I don't think it did actually. Alright. But anyways, there we go. So now we have to adjust, like, you see how they're positioned not vertical? Change that guy like this. Put the arrows on top. We want the arrow on the bottom. That arrow's on the bottom. And because this is just a plane, and we're using these as just wheels, not drive wheels, we don't really care about what way the arrow is pointing, except for the steering one. So I'm going to go ahead and take this guy, make it left wheel, and I'll also do the same for this one. Why not? Left wheel. Steering coefficient still at 20. Suspension force, because this will be a little bit heavy, I just like to make it a stiff suspension at about 7,000. And I usually just change the dampening with it so it doesn't have any bounce or continually bouncing. Alright, so look at that. That blue dot is almost right next to the red one. So what we do is we take our adjust tool and we move this guy. No, that's wrong. I want to take this guy. There we go. Hold shift, move it. There we go. So now they're right next to each other. This one's just a little bit above. I think I can maybe influence that a little bit. There we go. So now they're right inside each other, really. That's really great. Alright. And we can still see the flame now. So now we want to mess with the wings. I want my wings to be right over this, but also I want it to be in the same vertical level, the vertical plane. So take my adjust tool again, find out where the wings are attached. I think that they are attached. Here, if I take this tool, I can find out where they're attached. Right there, I think. Yeah, because there's, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay, not sure what that is doing. That's a little bit odd. It's dragging my whole plane over. Let's do the same for this one. Yeah, it does. That's odd. Alright. It's very... I don't want that. I'm gonna change that. Where are those guys attached? Oh, shoot. Control Z. If you ever mess up like that, Control Z. And as you can see, that just messed up those poles, so I'm definitely taking those off. And that one. So now the wings are disconnected. So now I can put this bar back on. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it on the fuel tanks. Oh wait, rule of thumb, don't put anything on the fuel tanks if you're adjusting them. So if you make them longer, wider, or whatnot, don't put anything on them because they tend to glitch out. And then you'll come back in the builder and your pipes will be all weird and not connected. Alright, and now I have to exit the builder again because that isn't right. But I can still adjust this. Alright, I want it to be down. That looks good. Yeah. Down, and let's move it inwards a little bit more. Let's do the same for this guy. I think that was about 80, it said. And it needs to go 2 clicks down, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now all we're trying to do with these wings is get this yellow dot in the same vertical axis as the red one right there. And it looks like they are pretty spot on with the vertical alignment. It doesn't matter so much as the horizontal, I guess, axis. Just make sure they're in the same vertical plane. They can be way up here or way back here. It just affects how your plane pitches. I like having it right next to the center of gravity. It just feels more realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and exit the builder. Did I hook up the wings and stuff? I can't remember. Alright, we can just see how it sits. I'm not going to take it for a test flight yet, but... Oh yeah, it's I don't think it's... Yeah, no, it looks pretty good. Nice little first plane. Let's make sure, yeah, no, I didn't wire up... Oh, I forgot to wire up the wings again, that's right. But our flaps work just fine. I don't think I wired up the wheels for steering. Nope. That works too. Alright. Build. Open last project. So now, look at how close that guy is. He just needs to be up just a little bit. So I gotta find out where those were. Is it this? Yeah, I think it's this guy. Oh shoot. Gotta lower this one down. Okay, there we go. That's just about in the same ballpark. Now I can move them back a tad, which will get it closer to the center of thrust. Okay, there we go. So that's what you want to end up seeing, is these three balls right next to each other. Can actually make it a little bit closer together. Oops. There we go. All three of those balls right inside each other. That's really nice. Okay, so I'm just going to change the engine a little bit. There we go. I want it to have a little bit higher thrust, about 2. This is just something you can tinker with to see how your plane flies afterwards. So now let me link up the flaps. So there's a wheel, another wheel, another wheel. That's a back wheel. These two are front wheels, okay. So for our front wheels, we want those to be connected to our arrow keys for steering. And our flaps, one inside another, to be connected to our pitch. Okay. So now I'm just, let me lock the camera to help. So if I'm pushing down on the arrow key, I want to be able to fly upwards or pitch upwards. And as you can see, this flap right here, if I click on something else, this flap right here is deflecting upwards, which means it's going to pitch the plane upwards, and this one's deflecting downwards, so it's going to pitch the plane down. So I want to reverse this wing right here, which is this guy. And to reverse it, all you do is type in a negative value. I don't like 45, I like about 40. So I'm going to do an angle coefficient of 40. It's basically your values are 1 and -1, and it multiplies it by 40. So you get a max angle of 40 and -40. Alright, there we go, everything's working. Now we can exit the builder and test out our plane for the first time. One more tip is that if you want to put a skin on it, by that I mean just stretching plates across it and making it look cool, do that before you do all your balancing, because the plates do add a little bit of weight and they do affect the center of mass. Okay, so now if you're stuck in this third person mode, another great tip is just to press B. That'll make you go into free mode. If you don't press B, you're locked to this view and you can't move. But if you press B, there you go. Oh, press B, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to want to turn a little bit. Whoa. Oh, I have my arrow keys inverted, so if I'm pressing left one, it goes to the right. I gotta change that, but anyways, we can take off. And there we go. Your first plane's built. And as you can see, it's tilting upwards slightly. This can be changed by adjusting the pitch or the offset of one of your flaps. So I'll just go ahead and do that real quick in the editor. So we go to build, open last project, go right to the editor, and I want to change these. I don't really care about the flaps, even though you can adjust those. I just prefer adjusting these guys. So the angle offset, I just test it, see what 50 makes it do. 50 makes it go up, and since I'm constantly going up, I want to go the reverse direction. So if I look at -50, that's going to make me go downwards, except I don't want 50. I want about very small, so about -1. And then this one's the opposite of that, so I'm going to do +1. Because if we look, I do 100. Oh, that made it look all bad. But if I do 50, it makes it go downwards, which is what we want. So 1. And you can barely even tell that they're pitched at all. So that's pretty good. And now we just exit and we go and fly it again. Just remember that that's probably the most crucial part. These 3 balls. You want them close together and in a line. Oh, here we go. I'm already on a runway. So I'm not sure if I have my plane. Nope. Click on it. Spawn it in. Oh, I should have adjusted my arrow keys. I'll do that after I'm done test flying this. Alright, let's see here. Something's up here. It's flying all weird. Alright, so I'm going downwards. I've added too much to it, so I have to go an even smaller increment than 1. So probably about 0.5 or so. But other than that, it flies pretty nice. The roll is a little bit weird. But you'll get used to your plane. And this is just a basic tutorial to get you in the air and get you stable without having to hassle with gyroscopes. So now, as you can see, if something is inverted, like my arrow keys, I don't want it to go that way, and it goes all weird. I gotta change that. But it's inverted, so if I'm pressing the left arrow key, it's gonna turn to the right instead. So there's just a really simple fix to that. There's 2 options you can do. My wheels are also spinning in the wrong direction, so that's something I want to adjust from the cockpit, or from the seat. So from the seat, oh, I gotta go into the tuner mode actually. From the seat, I want to change these ones. I want to reverse them, so I want right and then left. And this can all be checked beforehand. I was just pretty lazy, so if I press left, it goes left, right, it goes right. I want to make sure to adjust that vertical tail flap to an even smaller increment because it just sends it out of the air. Alright, so now adjusting. And these guys were just a little bit too big of a value. So I'm going to go with about, let's do 0.4 instead. So negative 0.4. There we go. Oh, and also when I do my roll, let me lock the camera. So if I'm pressing A, whichever flap is upwards is the direction you're going to tilt in. So in this instance, I'm going to tilt to the right. So I'm going to take my plane and it's going to go over to the right like that. And with this one, since this guy's up, the plane's going to rotate like this. It's a little bit hard to show, but that's opposite of what I want to do. If I press A, I want to be able to rotate this direction. So I just go in here and I switch these values. A and D. Oh, and D. There we go. Now they're reversed. And I can exit the builder and test out my plane again. I don't think that I'm on flat ground this time. Yeah, no, definitely not. So let's reset and select our plane. Throw it down. There we go. Let's go ahead and hop inside of it. Whoa, it's already pressing shift. So now if I press left, it's going to let me turn a lot easier and in the right direction. Press F1 to close that. And let's take off. So now it looks like I'm traveling pretty dang level. I'm pitching upwards slightly. And again, you can adjust that by changing your pitch, your offset a little bit more. But I'm happy with it at the moment. It's just a test plane, and it's just to show you guys the basics of plane building. And you can even use this as just a get around plane. You can add another rocket or whatever, and it can help you get to areas such as Flatland or Hero Mountain. Flatland, if you didn't watch my other video, is as soon as you take off from the landing gear, it's a right turn 90 degrees. You'll know it when you see that small island down there. I'll point towards it right now with the plane. That small island down there, you'll know you're heading to it. So just head to that island, and then Flatland is right behind it. Hero Mountain is about a 70-degree turn to the left off the runway. And it's a little bit more difficult to find, but you can find it if you look hard enough. So this is just a basic plane tutorial, and I hope you guys learned enough about center of lift, center of gravity, and center of thrust. If you have any questions, you can join the Discord server. There's an official Homebrew Discord server, which I'll link in the description. All you have to do is click on it, and it works best if you download Discord. And you can talk with us live. There's several there's several voice chats, and there's also text chats that the developers talk to you in, and even other players in the game. I've learned a lot from it, and I highly suggest that if you're having trouble or you just want to help other people, definitely check it out. If you have any questions and you don't want to do the Discord, then you can get me at Steam or send a comment in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe to see more, and please like the video.